Hey, it's the last passive AD Fnatic Upset, and you're watching Thorin's YouTube channel.
Right, after this is obviously when they made franchising and you got people like 100 Thieves came in, right? Since you went to 100 Thieves, right? I don't know at all on this one, so I don't have any behind the scenes info. So I'm just asking as like a speculation, right? I'm going to guess you got the fucking bag. That was my assumption. 100 Thieves comes in, you do a big roster move, you get the big contract, right? It's like the NBA, right? You signed on at a time when you were still very high stock, right?
Yeah. Definitely got the bag at 100 Thieves. Yeah, that's how it works.
Okay. Right. When you went to that team, obviously the first split was really good. Like you guys were first place in the regular split, then you were in the finals, right? This was a totally different team for you though. Like obviously you were playing with like, this is when some days hasn't even been in NA for that long. I think it was on Dig before this. Then you had Meteos as your jungler, still like a very big name, etc. Ryu was coming over. You had the infamous Cody Sun as your ADC. Did you actually sign when you already knew what the roster was going to be? How was this roster put together? What did you think of this roster?
They had topside already, and then they had heard that CLG wasn't picking me up. So once the CLG announcement went out, then they hit me up because they had no idea I was going to be free. They were like, "No way," you know. And then I had emailed all the teams at the time that I was, looking for a team. Just field any offer you want, and them and 100 Thieves and Team Liquid both offered at the time. Team Liquid obviously went with Ole, I think, and then...
So you could have reunited with Doublelift?
Yeah.
Were you thinking about it?
I was thinking about it, yeah. We had gotten a call and stuff like that when they had the whole roster accept support made, but yeah, they just went with Ole. And for 100 Thieves, I was on call with them, when, Nate shot, there's other people, and I was like, okay, I'll probably do that because CLG wasn't really giving me what I wanted, which is what I was going to ask for because they were going to bring in Rainover and then, try to keep me on. But I was like, Rainover, I do want to play with Rainover. He's very Smithy-like type of jungler. But, yeah, they just went with Biofrost, and I was like, okay, that's fine. So, yeah, went to 100 Thieves. They had topside already. They didn't have 80 carry. There wasn't as many rookie 80 carries or in general that like I wanted to play with. So I just had the team decide who they're going to pick up. So they picked up Cody Sun.
What did you think of that move? Because here's the thing. There was some games I remember where he clearly had like skills, but he did also do like the cardinal sin for an ADC, which is like randomly in a team fight, which is like, it's like, people are going to notice if you do that is a problem.
Yeah, every 80 carry does that, I would say. Doublelift did that all the time. The only time when he would stop doing it was Coach Chris. Every time he did it in the scrim, he would just yell from the back, "Peter!" So Peter would just feel awful. So it was like that trigger response where if he does it, he's going to get yelled at. So that's when it just perma cut out. And then for most 80 carries, you don't really have that. You just got to like have that type of play style. Yeah, Cody did that sometimes, but it was pretty easy to keep it in check most of the time, I would say. Because we had Meteos, myself, two of the most vocal on the team, no matter what. Our two, Ryu and Someday, definitely more on the quiet end, just perform in their soul lanes type thing. But I do think Meteos probably, for me, yeah, also one of the top 3 junglers I love playing with. Me and him also pretty much same type of synergy, always in the same spot, same time, understanding, how to control the map. And he was always good at making calls, great at pathing, pleasure to play with, always fun to be around, type of guy who will always bring up the problem and address it right away as well. So, yeah, that's why for me, us going to the finals that year was no surprise because, we did have, 2 Korean powerhouses in our solo lanes and Meteos, Cody Sun. The only thing that we didn't really have was obviously macro understanding for everybody. Language barrier definitely a factor in that part. And then, yeah, we just weren't on the same page, whereas I was with CLG. So for me and CLG, like our macro was just way ahead of that 100 Thieves iteration at the time. And then Team Liquid had picked up all the CLG members, so their macro was just ridiculous. So we couldn't really keep up in that finals.
Right, this was obviously the split where you actually won the MVP of the whole league. Now, here's a question I have. I just noticed whenever people bring that up, you get like slandered. People are like, no, that wasn't like he shouldn't have won MVP, that split or whatever. Or it was just a storyline or whatever. Were you the best player of that split, do you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think coming into a new team, you want to perform and do your best. And that was what I went in with, that mentality. I mean, you could watch most of the games. I think, yeah, me playing Thresh, I'm literally always landing everything in the clutch moments in team fights, playing prom, blocking perfectly. Even during the split, 100 Thieves has me first picking Braum, which is just unheard of. Who does that? And that was like our strategy where, yeah, just pick blind and give my team counter pick. We're still winning. I still perform even in a counter matchup. And a lot of the time, it was just, yeah, me in those super high pressure situations, making the right call or the right play and helping our team win the game. I do remember, yeah, I had to pick Blitzcrank one time, literally just flash hooking on cooldown versus Wild Turtle and being able to come back into the game. So yeah, I had multiple games like that, which is just me wanting to perform and have 100 Thieves do well. So especially them being a new team in the league, I don't want to join the team and then just suck, which is what most new teams were doing when they were coming into the league. What I can think of is like Energy coming in for their first time, not really performing, and then they're out of the league. And then who else has that happen? Gravity, I think it was the same, or maybe not. Gravity, same thing, coming in, they're gone. So I didn't want that to happen, and it was very important for me to perform.
Right, you talked a little bit earlier about what some of the other coaches like Monty, Coach Chris, Zix. What was Prolly like to work with?
Probably to work with in the beginning. I think he was, yeah, pretty good. We had a performance coach, and then we had Prolly. And for Prolly, he always the type of person, bring up the problem right away, address it, and help you guys figure it out. He was more so of the guy who likes to do draft before for LCS by himself and then bring it over in the morning with a couple changes here and there based on what his team style is. And, that was good. Other than that, he's always the type of guy who will sit down with you. If you ask him to help you with your laning, sit there and watch with you for, 1 to 2 hours, no problem. Love that about Prolly. I do think once the team started falling apart and, all the drama and stuff was coming out was when him and Meteos had gotten into an argument during scrims. Me watching it, I thought it was ridiculous, but I guess for them and him, it was more, I guess, offensive. But they were, Meteos was on Graves. He did something. Meteos can explain it a lot better because I didn't think Meteos was trolling, but probably thought Meteos was trolling in the game.
Okay.
And probably was explaining to him, why would you ever do this, blah, 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 in like a condescending tone, according to Meteos. And after he let him explain everything, right as the meeting was ending, how you scrim, come out, review the game, have the meeting. Right as that meeting started ending, Meteos goes up to Prolly, I don't really like how you talk to me right there. And that just set off Prolly and went up to the roof, had an hour talk, had to cancel scrims. And after that, it was a downfall where they don't like each other. Now Meteos wants to leave the team, gets traded away, and me, I'm just like, what the?
You were in the finals before. What the hell's going on? Yeah, exactly.
I love playing with this jungler because we're always on the same page, and now he's gone. So I was just like, and then we pick up Anda, who's a rookie, and now we got to teach him. Where I feel like for Prolly and myself, we have to teach him a lot in terms of, macro and stuff like that. You always have to catch up these rookie players in terms of what their playstyle is, where to be on the map. And yeah, we couldn't really, obviously learn that fast because we have a new jungler, he has to do everything like that. And Yeah, that was the downfall. We always got to keep swapping rosters everywhere. And then we started having like Academy come in. Our roster was like Fake God, Soligo. I think we had Anda. And then I forgot, what was it, Ricard, Cody, stuff like that. It was, I don't know what was really happening. And then for Prawley and Cody, they started going at it. And then Cody got yeah, not replaced, just
He got
moved
benched
down.
initially, yeah.
Benched,
Or put in the academy or
because
something, one of the two, yeah.
I guess for World week before Worlds, we wanted to practice with Rikara because of what was going on. I don't even know what's going on. It's all happening, and I'm not even there most of the time. So yeah, that happened, and then I had to start playing with Rikara, and we go to Worlds. Me and Rikara playing against fucking Uzi, bro. Just oh man, it was something. That whole thing. I would, if we had Cody playing for us at Worlds, we probably would have done a lot better because he's obviously has all the experience, all the practice with me and him. But yeah, there's just a lot of drama surrounding what happened with that team.
Right, as you said, like the Meteos one again, it's like the jungler has an argument, etc. But if people don't know, like it's funny because I remember Meteos in Cloud9, but one time someone who knows a lot about the game was telling me like, oh, go and watch these VODs and watch how he paths in this scenario. And I was like, yeah, what am I watching? And then they were like, oh, don't you see, like, because they were like an expert about League. They were like, look, in this scenario, actually the other jungler like did something really smart and that should have like fucked up his whole pathing. But you see, he just like instantly adapted and just went to this other place and like found a different way to do it. And I was like, what? And then they were like, basically, that they told me that was like his strength. They said basically in the game, he would like, because if people don't know, a lot of junglers like think of the basic pathing at the beginning or they're hoping to have like comms. They told me he was just like a wizard. He could just do anything he wanted basically at jungle.
Yeah, big on that. He didn't really have to explain his pathing or anything like that.
Okay.
He would always just do it, you know. So, and for me, he was always like in the right spot at the right time. So there's nothing really to coach or anything like that, you know. He's just always doing it himself, always thinking about his builds. He should build this. He wants to play this type of champion. His Zac he's famous for. Always knows when the right spot is to pick it. And he was very smart player. You know, you don't really get a lot of players who think like that or think about that stuff. It's just, you know, you play your role, you want to carry. That's all you think about, going to get the kill. So, yeah, that's probably why he's definitely in my top 3 of my junglers I've played with.
Right, you obviously pointed out all the drama behind the scenes and the back and forth of the roster, but even so, like, it was going to be a nightmare group anyway, because, spoiler, the 2 teams that made it to the final were in your group. So, like, Fnatic and IG was in that group. Like, that was going to be a pretty hard group anyway, right?
Yeah, it was actually played against IG. We had a good early game against them, I think, for both games. But yeah, once we got past that part, they just ran us over. So yeah, it was definitely hard. But I do think Fnatic was the harder team to play against. Just because who was that Fnatic roster at the time?
They had when they had Caps, team, right? Reckless and Hillsang was the bot lane. They had Whippo and Swaz.
That was almost impossible. They had their own style where Brox the Hillsang just literally just camping mid, bro, just rotating. So Caps can just play just complete just in your ass. So yeah, that was very hard to play against if you don't have like experienced veterans in jungle and support. So they were very hard to play against.
Right, as you said, like it was bad enough in the summer switching like this and then having to go to Worlds with the rookie, etc. But the year after that was a joke, mate. I mean, it looks like when you even look at the Leaguepedia, it's like how many people are on this fucking team? There's just like a list of players like that, like all these roles getting swapped in and out. Eventually, we even had like Amazing from Europe come in at the very end to try and save everything. This year seems like such a waste of time. Like it used to be contenders. It was such a rough set of results this year. How did you handle it?
It was awful, bro. I'm gonna be honest. That was probably the worst. Yeah, definitely the worst year. I thought my worst year was my first split playing with CLG. Okay. That was the worst year of my career. It was just, yeah. We're trying out every roster and stuff like that. All of the people who were the starters are now. I had to play a match in academy for one weekend. Like, I don't know what is going on at all. And synergy wasn't there. We were just putting players with opposite play styles together. So it just didn't really make any sense. And there wasn't, I don't think, too much I could do besides I could have maybe asked for a trade when I knew it was doomed. Like Meteos, and yeah, just peaced out. But I don't really like doing that. I'd rather, stick it out and try to make it work. And every team iteration that we were playing with, we had to teach a lot in general, just because, a lot of rookies were coming in trying to figure out how to play the game, and then a lot of explaining. So there was no way we were really going to catch up to a lot of the teams in the league that year. I do think, the first split, I think I had brought in Huhi, had convinced, them to bring in Huhi so that we could, perform. But then we also had to bring in Bang for AD carry, whereas I would have, I wanted to pick up a rookie, but Bang had asked 100 Thieves, he really wanted to come over and play. So, we went with Bang. And then we had, I forgot who was our top. Was it Fake God? I think it was Fake God. Because Someday was import.
Oh, yes, he had to play the academy for a while, didn't he? Yeah.
Huhi's import, Bang's import. Yeah,
yes. Yeah, you're right, because of Bang. What was it actually like to play with Bang then? Because look, obviously he's a world champion all these times over, but like, was his English good? Did he not acclimatise? What were the issues? Because he was all right, but he was never as good as people remember,
So I thought Bang's playstyle was more of a not almost a farming type of style, but just get enough gold and then perform in team fights. His team fighting excellent, and that was his time. And what I pride myself on as a support is, playing my AD, knowing their style instantly, and then just acclimating to what they want to do. So if I'm playing with Doublelift, we're gonna play aggressive and try to get a lead. If I'm playing with Cody, we are just gonna farm and then have him perform in team fights. Bang, same thing. Farm, perform in team fights. Maybe we get a couple kills in lane and stuff like that, but not as important for their type of style. And for Bang, that was his style. But for us on 100 Thieves, I do think our coaches were pushing us to play a style that just wasn't preferred. Where it was like, you have to, like, you guys are so good, you have to just dominate the enemy bottom lane, push it for a lead, get a huge advantage and stuff like that, when that is not how, that style bottom lane wanted to play. And they were just kept forcing it. And, it's okay, but obviously sometimes it's just not going to work out. And I already knew that it wasn't going to work out, but we just did it anyway. But it wasn't as good as it could have been.
Right, I have a question that's a bit of a sensitive one. So you tell me if it's nonsense or not. These are just things I hear, and you know how rumours work. Sometimes they're legit, sometimes they're exaggerated. Right, this is around the time when I heard from certain people in the scene that, like, the thing with Aphromoo at this point in his career is, it's like, he's not like 100% driven. Like, sometimes maybe he just chills for a split, or sometimes he's into it, or it depends what the lineup is. What would you say around this time period? Is that accurate? Is that unfair?
Around that time, most of the time I'm always going over and review how we want to play, what we need to do, and it just wasn't working out.
Right.
For me. Like, even though I'm trying to explain how we need to play, obviously all the roster changes, like, nothing's really going to stick, but even though if I explain it, it'll take a while for us to be on the same page and learn. So yeah, nothing was working out. And that was probably, for me, it was the first time in my career where it's like, everything's just falling apart. No matter what I did, I couldn't fix it, even though I was trying. And for the summer split of 2019, that was just so apparent, where everything just falling apart. Like, nothing's working out. I mean, I feel like even if I made a call, we couldn't execute it no matter what.
Right.
So it's like, at that point, what am I supposed to do besides just focus on my play? Obviously, I was a shot caller on CLG, doing some shot calling when I was coming onto 100 Thieves for, the first year and a half. And then the last split is like, I don't know. Even if I'm calling, like, it doesn't work out. and I still have to, go to review, explain to how we need to be playing this and stuff like that. I felt like we were being forced to play this play style where we have to push a lead and be over aggressive, and it's not really our style. So it just felt awful in general to play. That's played. So, yeah, I wouldn't say I like gave up, but in my brain, I knew it was doomed, even when I would say things. So that just fell off.
Right, the year after this, you went to Dignitas, and you actually started the split like 3-1. You were winning a bunch of the games. The lineup was interesting. It was like Hooney and Froggen and Greg, and then obviously the rookie was Johnsun, who actually was looking really good. Like, how did it start 3-1 and then end like 8-10? So what went wrong?
For Dignitas, I think 3 people had different ideas on how to play macro, and by 3 people, I always classify bottom lane as the same because I spend the most time with my AD, so we just get on the same page and instantly, since I'm good at that. And for our top side, it's like, yeah, a lot of us, we didn't really understand macro together. Like Hooney playing a totally different side lane game than Froggen, who likes to hold the wave, make people come to him because he's holding the wave most of the time, whereas Hooney is like pushing the wave and then moving mid. So that was a whole thing for us, where Froggen, didn't agree with that, and then Hooney also didn't agree with that. Whereas if we had them just playing the same style, one or the other, then we could, maybe make a plan and do something like that, because both ways can work. It was just we didn't want to get on the same page. So that was probably the hard part for us. I love playing with both those guys. They're very good teammates. They both have incredible champion pulls. Froggen especially, like, he can play whatever. Just pull it out and just shit on these guys. He's like, yeah, in the LeBlanc matchup, I can play Karthus. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. But then he does it, and it's just fucking shitting on this guy. I'm like, okay, all right, I like that. So it's unfortunate it didn't work out, but Froggen, really like playing with Froggen. So after that, we had to change the team. Johnsun, super vocal guy, always trolling, kind of annoying, I'm gonna be honest, for other team members, because he's always talking. So but he very good at performing. You tell him to do something and he just does it right away. Super good at that. And he always spamming solo queue every single champion. If he's gonna play champions in the week, he will always put games into it. New AD carry comes out instantly, 20 games on it.
Oh, right.
Can tell you if it's good or not. And he was like almost a mini Doublelift kind of guy, because he would always put in all this work, and then if he sees his teammates not putting in work, he's in your ass. Like, hey man, when are we gonna start playing this? Have you practiced this today yet? What are you even doing, man? Do you know what you're doing this champ? It's you build the wrong item instantly on you. Like, what is this item, bro? So he's that type of guy, which is fine. I'm kind of used to it from playing with Doublelift already. That type of criticism if you're playing team fights wrong, etc. So that was Johnsun, and fortunately that Dignitas roster didn't really work out, and then we swapped it over to what we have. Lorelo came in, Dardoch came in. Who was our mid? Phoenix.
Yes.
Phoenix came in, and that roster wasn't too bad either, but
it was
It was all right. We had different play styles, I would say.
Does it piss you off, by the way, that I mean, if you listen to the story, it's gradual how things went downhill. It wasn't like it just went off the cliff and completely you're terrible and everything. Like, if people don't even know, in that summer split back in season 8, when things were already getting bad, you were still like the fucking all-pro first pick support and everything. Like, everything still should have been good. Like you said, maybe you could have done a trade, or maybe they shouldn't have done all the swaps in and out or something. Do you feel like management decisions sort of spoiled the last few years of your career?
I think it's like it could be a cop out just to blame management, but obviously I didn't use the power I had where I could just ask, I didn't want to play anymore. And I could have done that. Probably should have, but usually I like to stick it out. We definitely had coaches come in who were obviously like first time type of coach. That was probably the most annoying part. No flame to Joseph, but yeah, he came in and was trying to explain to Bang and I how to lane, and obviously for me, it was like, this guy is a new coach, and he's just coaching us on how to push our lead forward, and that type of thing is like, I just can't believe I'm.
Was Bang just looking at him like you crazy? Like, bro, I've won worlds a bunch of times. What are you talking about?
He's just doing his job.
Okay.
But it was very annoying because we had to listen. It was like, so that was annoying. I don't blame him at all. But both Bang and I were like, we already know how we want to play, but it felt like it didn't matter. So it was like, we just listened to it anyway. So it's kind of sucks. But yeah, I guess it's half management, half players, So, but it's already over. So what can you do?
Was it fun to reunite with Johnsun in FlyQuest?
Yeah. Johnsun with FlyQuest. That was pretty much the only reason I went over, because I played with this guy before. I could have stayed on Dig. I did enjoy their facility, and like they had a new coach coming in. He was pretty cool. Some Greek guy. I forget his name, but yeah, joining FlyQuest. They had Jose Diodo, who I thought was very good jungler. When I was playing with him, awesome kind of guy. Super selfless, always practicing, always in the top 10 for solo queue. Hundreds of games on each champion, no matter what. You ask him to play something, he'll do it, and very easy kind of guy to talk to. But with Johnsun, I don't think it was the same as on Dig. It was only the same when we had to get a couple weeks under our belt. But yeah, coaching was not too terrible, but it was okay on FlyQuest as well.
Okay.
For our other teammate, we have Takui, and
he was kind of like a breakout, right? Yeah, you had a Kumo in the top lane.
Oh yeah, Kumo. So we had Kumo and Takui, he very his playstyle, he likes to be active and calling for things and stuff like that. But he just had a hard time, I think, calling with Jose Diodo, I think. They just obviously every time when you play with somebody, you have to, understand them, how they think, how they want to play at these certain times, and just figure it out together. And that happens with everybody. So I don't blame these guys for.
I mean, they had a pretty mad background. Remember, like one's from Argentina, the other one's from France, and they're speaking in English on an American team. It's like, I sort of get it. I sort of get it.
It's going to take time for people to mesh. And that was our first split, I think. Yeah. First split and second split for these guys. Just trying to figure it out. They did their best. We just couldn't really get it down for our 4-man core, which was Johnsun, me, Jose, and Takui, as just moving around the map as a core. We couldn't really get it down that often. We just had two different types of styles, I would say. For Takui, we're super focused on lane kind of guy, wants to get advantages and stuff like that. Whereas for my play style, as I'm at this point in my career, is like more team focus, making sure we're on the timings and stuff like that. And so those two things for the core lanes is just off at the same time. And it was just too hard for us to move around like that. But everybody was very good at their role. I do think what does suck is obviously changing the roster when, you're trying to work on it. And a lot of organizations and GMs are always, if you don't prove results right away, like you're gone. So that kind of sucks. And I compare that to CLG, where, me and Doublelift are been together for a while. We stay together. We keep it Smithy, Darshan, probably for like 2-3 years on the same team. And, finally, we learned as much as we could and worked out, started winning. And yeah, I think it's kind of a downfall for most teams right now. But FlyQuest was enjoyable.
If you're a guy who was putting, like you were the leader, like you said, you were committed to the team, you're working with all these different AD carries over the years. How do you keep from essentially just mentally quitting when you're not getting the results? You're not going to deep in the playoffs anymore. You're not the team that goes to Worlds. You have to just keep coming back and seeing new teammates. How do you handle that?
I think I'm more used to it by now. It's kind of hard to keep up with top side, I would say. My top side has always been changing no matter what. And I don't feel like I haven't anything really to say about that. So all I focus on is whatever AD carry I'm with, making sure we perform as best we can. And after that, hopefully, you know, the pieces fall in place with what type of style we need from our other laners. And what is second most important to me is having a jungler who is on the timings together that we can affect the map. So I think once you have those two things, you're able to build pretty decent core and build around them off of that. So
was it totally your choice, by the way, to retire this year? Did you have offers? Could you play it in LCS?
Yeah, I could have, but Johnsun wasn't going to play anymore. And then there wasn't really any AD carry I wanted to play with. And that's probably my first choice would be to have somebody that, you know, we can relate, get along, and who I want to work with. Didn't have that. So I was like, no, I don't really want to play. It wasn't going to be fun. It's like nowadays is the new generation is playing LCS now. So it's like, I've been playing for so long. So all the guys I knew are already gone.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Right. In the years when it was Dig and it was FlyQuest and the different versions, etc., did you ever have any other bigger team offers that you could have taken but you said no to?
During Dig and FlyQuest? I think everybody had supports already on all the like top 5 teams. So it's like C9 had Vulcan at the time. Who else is there? TL has Core JJ. Sure. Who was the other top teams? 100 Thieves picked up. They were doing the Papa Smith Thieves just running the whole roster over there. So they had their roster until they finally picked up GGS Core, who he's over there now. So obviously I wouldn't want to replace that guy. And who else is the other big team? I think that is it.
Evil Geniuses had Ignar. Yeah, you're right. I think all the big teams had a player then. Yeah, maybe.
They had good support. So it's like, why would they ever replace those guys? You know. So, and support isn't. Oh, good.
Go on. No, go on.
Oh yeah, support isn't like a role where it's like, yeah, we gotta get this guy. It's really gonna affect it nowadays because right now the game is just carried by. It was carried at the time by solo laners. That's what the meta was at that time, and now it's shifting over towards bottom lane again.
Right. One thing I did want to ask about is, as you said, you really enjoyed the era. I mean, it makes sense if you came from Dota and you're more of the old school players. If people don't know, Dota even to this day doesn't have like a permanent meta. Like it depends what players you have, what, as you say, what picks with the heroes. You can play different styles. They basically don't have 5 set roles in the same way. It's never been actually like League in that regard. And then the League became super static. The meta in terms of like macro concepts became even worse in these last 3-4 years. Like even though people enjoy like the fun of watching the game and wow, like Western teams are having a chance. Like the dragons just became like the entire game was like Herald Dragon, go to the Baron. Like essentially Riot kind of made it just ABC League of Legends. Like I can't imagine that really vibed with you that much.
No, it doesn't. I actually do not enjoy playing solo queue. I don't think anybody does. Anytime I'm opening my friends list on League of Legends, everybody's just in Master, Grandmaster because like, what is the point of playing the game at all? And I feel the same way. I'm playing solo queue. It's like. It is literally ABC. I play a laning phase, and that is it. What I improve on. After that, you just run around the map and team fight when you can. And that is not fun. And that is not really why I play League of Legends. Did you know you also can't duo Master and Above anymore?
Oh, really?
It's been like that for almost 3 years now. So it's so boring to play League of Legends. And that's probably why in the West it's just like, I don't know. It was on a downfall. Like you can't really see, you know, your favorite pro players playing with each other anymore. That was like the whole big caveat of watching NA was like, you know, me, Doublelift, we're always duo queuing back in the day. Everybody can watch. People love that. You get to see their personality. Nowadays, you don't get to see anybody's personality unless it's on broadcasts. And they usually have those guys, you know, Fudge, excellent on broadcast. They got Whippo, excellent on broadcast. You know, you see these guys up there, but not everybody. And, you know, some people they like to stream with, their duos, and you get to see that. But yep, you don't really have that anymore. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know who likes ABC like League of Legends. I guess everybody else, but it's not fun, man.
Right. Obviously, you said earlier when it was between 100 Thieves, the other team potentially was Team Liquid, but they chose to go with all here. People always forget that. People in their brains, I think, have overwritten it. That because Core came later, they think he was there for the 4 titles in a row, but he was only there for the 2 after. Right? Do you ever wonder, if you look back now, what happens if you go and you join Team Liquid there? Like, surely you and Double have to just stacking rings again.
Yeah, we most definitely would have likely won again. I know their MSI with Ole was not good.
That was the bad one, yeah. That was the one where he subbed himself.
This guy subbed himself.
I've never heard of that before, but okay.
Yeah, that was the first for me as well. I was like, what the hell's going on, sir? But yeah, we probably would have done really well. I don't know if we would have won that MSI, maybe, because Impact was playing super well. Team Liquid had a good strategy, but bottom lane was just out of sorts down there. I don't know what was going on. I know one time I was watching, they have the replays where they do voice comms and they were. Oh, that's right. You know when AP carries had to be played bottom and Doublelift had to start learning them. Vladimir.
Oh, the mages, yeah.
Yeah, I remember one time he was just yelling at Ole, bro, you have to do something, man. When they're playing Vlad, Alistar, I was like, oh, I see why it is not working out down there. So it was, oof.
Right. What do you think? Because people will not remember this now. Do you remember when they used to have that subreddit called Doublelift's Trophy Case? Because the meme was, it was empty, right? And people won't know this, that even though like in season 4 you were really good, in season 5 before you won you were really good as a bot lane, everyone was fucking hating on Doublelift. It's like, if you're a casual fan, it was way worse than people hate on like LeBron now. Like, at least he has rings at least. Like, dude, people were just like, Doublelift's a fraud. Like, he's not that, he's overrated. Is it wild to see that? Like, he ends, like at the moment, he's the guy with the most championships ever. He's got won 1 million LCS now. Is it wild to see like what his career became?
No, not at all. He puts in a lot of hard work, I would say, in terms of playing the game and performing. And he's also very adamant towards his teammates about what he wants. And when you put out that type of work, and then you have that work ethic and the type of pedigree he has, obviously a lot of people want to play with you. He's got Impact coming with him, Core JGA coming over, and it's going to be great and to make great teams like that. And it's just simple for him. I do think a lot of us came from back in the day where it wasn't like that. You could be good, but if you didn't have the right cast around you, it was almost impossible to win, unless you had the players that he has nowadays, or the time we won, stuff like that. And yeah, it's not any surprise to me he has the most trophies nowadays.
Right. Even though you had the LCS titles and obviously the MSI finals run was cool, all the worlds you went to in different ways were scoffed. Like there was the first one, the Xmithy bullshit. Then there was obviously the one where it was like no one knew this ANX team from Russia was doing all like fucking mad shit that never even made sense. Spoiler, they got banged out immediately in the playoffs. Then you had the one where it's like Ricara's in and Meteos is out. It's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, this is so whack. Like the 3 worlds was like, you may as well just fucking forget about them. Like, were you able to actually enjoy the experience of going to worlds? Do you ever feel a bit bitter that you never got to have like a real run?
Worlds was fun. I do think we could have gotten down to groups. The Rocks Tigers one with the RNX team. We could have gotten out. I think when we played those guys, we just disrespected them. Just gave so many kills over. I was part of that as well. Definitely could have got our groups then. When we went to Worlds with CLG the first time, we could have got out of groups then. But obviously we didn't have enough practice with Xmithy because he did finally get his visa, and then we win, and then we lost. So yeah, we could have got it out then if we played a little bit better.
I almost feel like, by the way, the fact that he got the visa at the last minute made you guys look way worse, because it looked like, oh, it's the real roster. And then everyone's like, what the hell? They're losing to everyone. Like, it's like, as you say, you didn't even get to practice with him.
Yeah, we did not practice with him that at all. So that was scuffed. It feels bad. I wish, things would have been okay going into Worlds, but it never was, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. I do think, yeah, if we had different timeline, none of that stuff happened, we would have been good.
Is there a player in the LCS that you wanted to team up with at any point in time, or you just thought he was a brilliant player? Who would you have loved to have played with who you never got a chance to?
So there's like, I see 3 people. So first one, Bjergsen. Bjergsen, actually, I'm very good at recognizing, let's say, players' play styles and like how to put them in the most efficient spot, what they're really good at. So Bjergsen, he's a control mage type of guy, but when he would pick certain champions, for when I played against it was like, it was the best I've ever seen the champion played, and then he would never pick it again, and I don't know why.
Okay.
Like, and one of his champions is Echo, and when we
All
played
right.
against Echo, I've never played against somebody whose Echo was that good. He only played it one time and never played it again. And if I was on his team, I would just tell him, like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Take this shit. And he could have been just dominant 1-3-1 type of player. Side lane, just running the game. And that's who I would have loved to play with, because I never told him that, but I would have loved to tell him that. Like,
you could have brought that part of him, because if people don't know, like almost every TSM team ever was just team fight. It was like 5v5s all day long. Yeah.
But he was so good at those champions. And I know he likes playing Zed and that stuff, you know. I'm like, just do it. So if he was ever on our CLG team where, you know, we have Darshan splitting and then have Bjergsen splitting as well, I don't think anybody could do anything. You just win. So Bjergsen. Secondly, I would have loved to play with Chauster on a carry role.
All right.
I don't think he should have been support or jungle or anything like that. His laning is just way too good in soul lane. So we'll love to have that happen. Unfortunately, he went out too early. And then the last player probably would have been, for me, let me think. Yeah, probably Sneaky. We always duo queued, and it was always, you know, super fun, easy. He wasn't the most aggressive kind of guy. He was more like stick stay, where, you know, get farm. You know, if their team plan is revolving around him, yeah, he can push it. But he was very good team play type of player. And when I got offered by Jack when the split happened, yeah, I was going to join C9 because I wanted to play Sneaky. He wanted to play with me. Would have liked to do that.
Is there a reason why? Because look, based on this interview and some of the things I'd already heard from some of our teammates about you being the leader and the shot call, is there a reason why, like, the obvious move hasn't happened? Like, to me, why isn't Aphromoo coach?
Why am I not a coach?
Yeah. Wouldn't you be a good strategic coach?
Yeah, I was already coaching when I was on the team, pretty much.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, I wanted to take a break. Don't know if I really want to do that again, because it's pretty much the same thing I was doing. It was just, I was in the game, so I could just say in the game when to do it.
It's better in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
You actually played the game too. Exactly. Yeah.
So definitely needed a break from it. I mean, it's the same type of schedule again, where we got practice. It's almost like you're a player, but we'll see. They get some coach offers.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I got some coach offers, but I said no for this split.
One thing I did want to ask about, but I kind of get it myself, is another thing people I don't think appreciate about League of Legends, particularly compared to some of the other esports games. Like, for example, in CSGO, even the best team in the world, between the tournaments, they go back to their home country and they live in their own house and they see all their family and their friends, and then you go back to the tournament in 2 or 3 weeks. You know, I always said to people, even though it looks brutal that they have to travel so much, that's like the pressure release valve. Like, you know, you're back sort of in your home environment with your support network, whereas you know what it's like in LCS. It's like being at boarding school or something, like Hogwarts or some shit. You're just away for all that time, ages and ages, and then, like you said, in the splits where it's not going well, you're just having to sign up again and come back again. It's like, I can understand why people get burned out after enough time. There's like, as much as people meme on like Doublelift when he would be like, I want to take splits off, I get it. It's like, it's pretty brutal to have to play like 8 years away from home and team houses. Did it just get too much in the end? Did you get bored of it?
Yeah, it wasn't fun. That's for sure. I like to play games for fun. Only games I'll play is when I'm having fun. And once I have fun, you know, I want to dive in, study everything that I can, you know, be the best. And once that's gone, I don't really want to play anymore. So that's what happened with League. Once I wasn't having fun, I was like, I'm it's kind of done, you know.
When some fan comes along, some Zoomer kid who's like, "Oh, what's this league thing? I've just been playing Fortnite and all these games," and he finds out, "Oh, who Aphromoo? He was like a champion back in the day." If someone said, "Right, these are the champions you need to go and look up from Aphromoo. He was the shit on these ones." Which ones would they be? Which ones were what was your bag for support?
I get this a lot when I stream. I don't know how. These guys, they remember me for Alistar. I hate playing Alistar. I'm gonna put that out
Right,
there.
okay.
Fuck this champion. They always talk about Thresh. Thresh is okay. Bard would be one for sure.
It's good for the macro shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, very good solo queue type champion. And then if you put a lot of games into it, you can, be awesome. So those three. And then other than that, it would be Leona, probably from the video.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, those four.
What did you look? I'll just ask it because it's hilarious. Because obviously, there's some of like Bard's like a really intelligent champion. Thresh is like all the fucking skill. Like Alistair's like you got to work with your team really well, right? What do you think? Another thing, I know this sounds like we're like the old boomers crying about the game, but what do you think of the existence of the champion Yuumi? What do you think of that champion?
So I have a theory that it was my fault Yuumi was the champion.
Okay, come on.
When I was on 100 Thieves for the MVP split, I was streaming, and at the time, I had brought up that I wanted a champion like the. You ever played Heroes of New Earth?
I've seen it, yeah.
So there's a champ called Empath who could. It was just a literal Yuumi type champion, could go into a teammate and then do a bunch of spells. And I was like, I want a champion like this in League of Legends. Okay. So I had said that at the time, and then they came out with Yuumi, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Right.
Oh, so I partly think it's kind of my fault. I brought that up during my MVP split. Somebody was probably listening to that, right? They're like, "Oh yeah, this is a good idea. Let's make Yuumi." But Yuumi is nothing like the Empath and Han. Empath and Han, her ultimate is the ability that goes in, not a little basic ability.
Right.
So you can't just keep doing that and be invulnerable. And then she has a life drain like Fiddle. And then when you're in someone, he gets the life drain. And then she has a Nivea wall, but your teammates can walk through it. And that's pretty much it. And I don't know how they came up with Yuumi. And I think it's impossible to balance her now. Anything they do is just ridiculous. So I think they should change her to, make her ultimate the one that goes into a teammate. So that you can only do that every, 90 seconds. You can't just sit on somebody. I don't think that is healthy for the game.
One champion I did want to ask you about, because this is actually the one that I play when I play the game, and I don't give a I'm a terrorist. I just play every single game I can. I was always surprised because I was like Joe Mechanics. I was always surprised you didn't spam Pyke more.
Oh, I spam Pyke a lot.
Okay. I mean, in actual LCS games, though, why didn't you pick it more?
Coach Gap. So on the 100 Thieves, when Pyke came out, I was spamming the champion.
Okay.
And every time we picked it in scrims, I was like 14-0 on this champion in scrims. And I never got to play it on stage. So, yeah. I don't think that's my fault, but yeah. I put in all the games, proved it in scrims, and then, just was never picked it on stage. And I don't know. So.
What along these lines, by the way, a theme people might notice is it's funny because early on when they heard the story of like the ultimatum of like to be a Doublelift or whatever, but actually that was logically because you had a choice to go to other teams too. People might think that you're also like a big voice outside the team and you're making all demands and you got a big. It sounds like actually, if anything, you were a bit too passive sometimes. You sort of just go along to get along. Like okay, coach, we'll do that. Okay, I guess we're changing players. All right, like you wish you'd been a bit more forceful.
No, actually, with champions I wanted to play, I would always, put in the games and then bring it up. And then it was like 1v4 or 1v3 for the champ. And at that point, it's like impossible. So I can go with you through each champion that came out. So I'm always the guy when I was on AD playing the new champ, no matter what. So on support, I do the same thing. So Bard came out. Everybody thought it was dog shit. And I'm the only one playing it. So I put in 100 games off season. And, Tony sees me doing it. And we're like, yeah, let's put it in. And for Doublelift, Coach Chris, and then they convinced Tony to not let me play it either. They were just like, yeah, this is not going to work. Like, it's not even good, man. Blah, blah, blah. They can't explain to me why it wasn't good. I was the one that was playing the champ. And the first game against TSM, Lust Boy, we played against, didn't even play the fucking champ. I put 100 games in this champ, and I wanted to play it so bad because it was a free win. We didn't pick it, and they first rotation champion. I was pissed the whole game. Like, this guy is playing the champion I practice on, and he is absolute dog shit. I was just so mad. My teammates like, what the fuck? So this is a common theme for every champion going forward. So Bard, that's what happened, and then finally they let me play it, just smurfing on everybody. Like, okay. And then when we went to 100 Thieves, that was when Yuumi and Pyke came out. So Yuumi came out. I put all the games on it. It was absolutely broken. And then what happens for a common theme in teams is that sometimes they don't have people who know how to start the fight. And I'm a person who knows how to start a fight on engaged champions. And when I'm on Yuumi, I'm on, jungler or AD carry, and nobody knows how to start the fight. And it just looks awful. Like, yeah, Zach, sorry, bro. We need you on engage because we can't do that without you. Also, same thing with Tom Kench. I can't play Tom Kench. Tom Kench is literally just you sit there, eat your AD carry. And if I'm on Tom Kench, we have no idea how to engage a fight. So it just looks terrible. Even though, probably wanted me to play Tom Kench, I put in all the games on it and we pick it and we just look terrible, So it's like, okay, I can't play this champion anymore. And then I don't know if you know the Aftershock Lux meta.
Oh, okay.
So It was between 2018 and 2019. We went to Korea for boot camp. I was the only person spamming Lux in solo queue out of anybody. And I was just winning every game. I'm like, this champ is kind of broken. I didn't do the Aftershock yet because I was going comment and just shooting everybody, but this champ is pretty good. And then it was the same thing where with Lux, you definitely need to be smashing lane super hard and playing around it. But when we would play it, we didn't really have synergy in terms of the core in order to push and come bottom as we're playing it. So I didn't really get to play that either too much. And then it was like the same thing with Pyke, where Pyke is like Bard. And when I'm on Pyke, it's okay. I can definitely snowball the map first 15 minutes of the game. But once we get into team fights, it's like we don't have anybody to start the fight because Pyke is too weak at doing that and gets one shot. So he has to play like the variable in the fight and wait till everybody gets low. So anytime a new champ comes out, that's some type of reason like that happens. And that is also a fault for most teams that I'm on. Is like, and when I'm on engage, very easy to follow up. I'm hooking the right guy at the right time. But when I'm not, we are not as good as we are when I'm on, engaged.
Even though CoreJJ did it later as well, the fact that you were the first player to ever be MVP as a support player, because, let's be real, because the region is like Doublelift and Bjergs and them, of course, it's the carry roles that get the MVP. They get to shine in the team fight. In fact, the classic thing most support players says, if you do your job well at support, people just see you carry win the fight and they think he did everything. They don't even know what spells you did or what you cancelled or what you saved them off. Is that a fitting legacy for you? Do you think that you were the MVP from support role?
Yeah. That year definitely was. I was finally able, from the MSI run, be able to play whatever I wanted, affect the map, snowball people and stuff like that. And that was definitely the peak of my performance off of that. Team was firing on all cylinders, everybody, same page. And I think for the support role, that is when you can be at your peak, is when everybody's on the same page and you're able to just focus and zero in on the avenues that you can get advantages. So let's take, for example, Hylissang on his teams, where he's picking Pyke every game, and you've never seen it before, but he's the one split pushing in the side lane, just taking inhibitor.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, you've never seen that ever. But that's because, his whole team is on the same page where they can 4-man a different lane and then let him split push, which is crazy. So that was when, Hylissang was performing at his best. Like, he could pick any of these, weird ass champs and just dominate. So same thing for me, like dominate on random champ, Bard, Soraka, stuff like that. Because my team, sets me up. We're all on the same page. So, and on that 100 Thieves MVP roster. Yeah, this is what happened for that split.
Right, I think a lot of people will know, because actually one of the most famous types of role swap in League is ADCs going to support, especially later in their careers, etc. Right? Obviously, a lot of ADCs do just think that like the support player does nothing, and I'm just carrying them all, etc. So when you first swapped and you did do that joke line where you're like, support's so easy, dude. Like, let me ask that question now after all these years playing it and mastering it. Is support in fact easy?
It is only easy if you understand the other roles in the game.
Right.
That's it. If I didn't play AD, I would probably be asked and it would take a while. But because I played AD, you don't really learn it as support where it's like trading the enemy AD carry, denying this guy, making sure you're in a position to, carry the fight, being in the right position in lane. As support back in the day, it was just like you didn't really get items. You just had green wards and you run around, like okay. But yeah, if you play another role and then come into support, it is very, very easy. Everything just rolls over into support, and you're like, wow, this is so easy for me. So,
when you were a beginning player, or you were in season 2, or you got your first gig in the LCS, is back then, I always tried to explain to people, like, it looks like it's similar back then, it's professional, people have salaries, but I always try to explain, no one really knew it was like a career like sports, like you could play for like 10 years or something. Most people even used to think like, it's probably dead in 2 years, like you just play now, let's try and get on a good team, win some. Is it wild to think that you retired at like the end of 2022?
Yeah, pretty crazy, I would say. Didn't think it would go on as long as it did, but obviously at the time I was just gonna ride it out for as long as it did, because making money, having fun playing games is what I want to do, and here we are now. So it was crazy. It's still going. Like I could still be in LCS right now. It's like Jesus, and I do think that is awesome for the longevity of the game. But I do think a lot of players have come and gone a little too early for the region in order to develop in terms of, performance internationally, bringing sponsorships to the league, stuff like that. So, but that's probably the fact that everybody wants results fast. So we're getting removed fast, stuff like that.
Another thing is also, yeah, like you say, like the actual salaries also really scaled up after the first few years. There was years where people could be making very legit money. Did the people at home in your life, did they get it? Did they know what you were doing? Did they understand what being a pro player was?
So my whole family is gamers.
Oh, but, okay.
Well, one story people don't know is my dad was big into NASCAR, and he was doing NASCAR online, and he actually would go to do these online tournaments. And then one time he had to go to, I forget what state it was in, maybe Texas, for online tournament for racing. Had to race against Dale Earnhardt Jr., met him and stuff like that.
For sure, yeah.
And so you also look at my dad online, and he comes up for those tournaments, got interviewed. So he understood what it was, but obviously he didn't have the salary and success that came with League of Legends. So at first when I was doing it, they did not want me to do any of this. Take away my computer, turn off the internet by 10 p.m., stuff like that. Like, fuck, bro. And once my grades started going down in college, obviously the mom and child talk were like, okay, man, you're either going to do this or not. So they gave me, an ultimatum. You get 1 month, to prove you can make some money. And made $8,000 first month of streaming. And yeah, there we go. They let me keep doing it.
At the end of this interview, do you have any final message for people? Does anyone you want to say hello or thank to?
I want to give big thanks to all my past teammates. That's for sure. Coaches, Monty, Tony, think I was my coach for a little bit. Alex, all the GMs, Matt Com, Nick, Nate Shot, Blake, all those guys. Thanks for allowing me to be on your team. Hotshot GG, of course. Be on your team, play League of Legends. It's been fun. I hope you guys all find success wherever you go. Always have fond memories of you guys. And other than that, bro, that is it. Oh, sorry. Almost forgot the most important. Thanks to all the fans for supporting me throughout my career. I appreciate all of you guys. And I wish you guys the best as well.
I've been pleasantly surprised during the time I've had my Patreon and my Patreon community, the Skrilluminati, by both the financial support they've provided and the moral support. And so this video was kindly supported and made possible by Starlust, Theo Buenzelli, Ahmed Haju, Matt Pugnaccio Racula, Toucan, Jensen Go, Animosity, Tobias Bernasconi, Bot Pounder 420, Yurka 86, Tosh, and as always, you know it, a special thanks goes out to my main man, Jerky's Minion. Would you like to ask a question in one of those AMAs where I tend to go pretty in depth? Sometimes they even spin out into their own videos. Do you want teasers to find out who the upcoming guests are for the myriad of interviews that I do across esports? Maybe you want to suggest a topic or a guest. We have a channel on my Discord where you can do that if you're at the right tier. And of course, you could potentially take part in one of those lengthy esports discussions with me about whatever is on your mind in the scene. Well, if any of those perks sound tantalizing, put your money where your mouth is and join the Skrilluminati today via the Patreon link in the description box below.